They vanished from a quiet yard one spring morning. Two small lives that, in the space of a few hours, turned a rural Nova Scotia community into the center of a nationwide search. Stay with this, and if you want to follow every update as it comes, hit subscribe and ring the bell now. People around the world are watching, and every tip matters. On May 2nd, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, Pictou County. What began as what police initially described as a potential wandering quickly turned into one of the most intensely scrutinized missing children cases in recent Canadian memory. In the weeks and months after, helicopters, drones, bloodhounds, and hundreds of volunteers combed dense woods, culverts, and waterway banks. Investigators gathered thousands of hours of video, reviewed hundreds of tips from the public, and ran forensic examinations on objects found near the property, including a pink blanket that family members identified as belonging to Lily and a child-sized boot impression. Yet despite those efforts, neither child has been found, and the questions have only multiplied. What stands out in this case is the scale and speed of the response, matched by the scale of the mystery. Within hours of the 10:01 a.m. 911 call, RCMP officers were on the property. In the first week, search teams covered an area measured in square kilometers. Then the search parameters tightened, shifted, expanded, and were refined, and investigators began collecting not just footprints and fibers, but digital footprints too. Cell phone data, GPS coordinates, banking records, and surveillance footage from stores and highways. More than 5,000 video files have been cataloged and assessed. Some materials were seized via judicial authorizations so that forensic labs could examine devices and possible physical evidence. The volume of material shows how modern missing person investigations now demand both old-fashioned boots-on-the-ground work and methodical digital inquiry. Through the public record, court filings, RCMP statements, and media coverage, a picture emerges of methodical, if painstaking, police work. The RCMP's Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit led the probe, aided by units from across Atlantic Canada and beyond. Investigators have said they're using every available resource, and court documents unsealed later revealed dozens of record access orders that requested cell phone and bank records, video from toll plazas and school buses, and other electronic material. Those documents are heavily redacted in places, a common step meant to protect the integrity of an ongoing investigation. The redactions also left many residents frustrated, wanting more answers at precisely the moment the case felt most urgent. The public response has been enormous and messy at once. Candlelight vigils, community marches, and online fundraisers sprang up within days. Neighbors who'd never spoken became organized search teams. Local leaders, including the Sipek-Nkaddock chief and the provincial premier, publicly urged anyone with information to come forward. At the same time, online sleuthing exploded, sometimes helpful, sometimes harmful. Social platforms filled with speculation, accusations, and conspiracy theories. That chatter prompted warnings from police about how misinformation could directly interfere with an investigation. People shared tips, re-examined timelines, and posted supposed sightings. Some leads helped investigators, others wasted precious time. For the family, the attention has been both a lifeline and a burden. Support and solidarity, but also intrusive suspicion and relentless questions. Investigators have repeatedly stressed a careful line. They will follow every credible lead, but they must do so in ways that preserve evidence and respect legal standards. Early in the case, RCMP said there was no evidence of forcible abduction and that the children may have wandered from the home, an assessment that guided first responses and influenced whether an Amber Alert would be issued. Amber Alerts have strict criteria, including a confirmed abduction and identifiable suspect details. In this instance, police publicly explained why that threshold had not been met. That technical distinction mattered because it shaped the initial search scope and the types of alerts sent publicly. As the weeks wore on and no trace of Lily and Jack emerged, some experts said the disappearance should be treated as suspicious until proven otherwise. Investigators have since described the probe under the Missing Persons Act and confirmed they were pursuing all possible scenarios. Part of the challenge is the contradictory and incomplete timeline. Surveillance footage captured Lily and Jack in New Glasgow the day before they were reported missing. Family members told investigators they last saw the children in the home that morning and that they'd heard them playing. Yet later witness accounts placed children resembling Lily and Jack walking along Gairloch Road between 9:30 and 10 a.m. that same day, accompanied by an older woman in a parked tan or gold sedan. That sighting has been regarded as a potentially important lead. Investigators said they were working to identify the children seen by the witness and to match the description to known facts. At the same time, some details supplied in different interviews changed. Bedtimes varied in separate statements, and recollections of the morning's sequence of events shifted slightly. In many missing persons cases, even small inconsistencies can complicate the puzzle. They don't automatically indicate culpability, but they force investigators to dig deeper. Forensic steps have continued around the clock. The pink blanket found about a kilometer away and a separate piece recovered from a garbage bag at the end of the family's driveway were seized and examined. A boot impression recovered on a pipeline trail was cast and sent to the lab. Investigators noted size correlations that could align with Lily's footwear. RCMP also tested clumps of soil and other traces found during searches, and they requested DNA, phenotyping, and other advanced analyses when possible. Police teams have also used scent tracking dogs, sonar searches in waterways, and repeated targeted sweeps in focused areas. Nothing of conclusive value has been publicly revealed so far, but investigators have repeatedly said that forensic analysis takes time. DNA, soil comparisons, and device examinations often require methodical lab work and cross-matching that can take weeks. The law enforcement approach also reflected caution toward the family. Several immediate family members voluntarily submitted to polygraph tests. Court documents later showed multiple polygraph sessions were administered to eliminate certain lines of inquiry. Public queries about whether family members were suspects have been sensitive and contentious, and RCMP officials have often declined to discuss investigative specifics in public in order to avoid jeopardizing legal processes. The documents released under judicial review showed that, as of mid-July and in later filings, investigators had not established reasonable grounds to classify the disappearance as criminal in nature. A formal way of indicating that, while the case remains active, investigators were still weighing evidence and had not yet reached conclusions that would justify criminal charges. That posture, active but not accusatory, matters for justice and for the family's rights. It also creates space for frustration. Community members and activists have repeatedly pushed for more transparency. Some family members and friends have expressed anger at slow updates or what they call inconsistent messaging from authorities. Others have cautioned against piling suspicion on grieving relatives. The gulf between public demand for immediate answers and the careful, evidence-driven pace of police work is often the roughest terrain in high-profile cases like this. There's also a practical reality in modern investigations. The digital trail is both a blessing and a bottleneck. Seizing and analyzing cell phone records, app metadata, camera footage, and banking transactions can reveal movements and contacts that would otherwise be invisible. But gathering those data legally requires judicial steps, and forensic labs are overloaded. RCMP record access orders sought cell phone tower locations, text plus messages, GPS data, and bank statements for the period surrounding the disappearance. They also requested highway and toll booth footage to establish whether the children or a vehicle left the province. Those judicial steps are routine but necessary. They help ensure any evidence can be admitted in court if the case reaches that stage. Public participation has remained crucial. Hundreds of volunteers joined grid searches in forested areas, farm fields, and culverts. Local residents donated time and resources. Some offered private trail camera footage that might contain crucial seconds of movement. Investigators have repeatedly asked that potential footage or tips be relayed directly to police rather than posted publicly, to preserve chain of custody for any usable evidence. The provincial reward program added a further incentive. The case was added to the major unsolved crimes program, offering up to $150,000 for information leading to the children's location or to an arrest and conviction. That reward reflects a recognition that money can move hesitant witnesses to come forward, especially in small communities where fear or loyalty can suppress testimony. Emotionally, the case has taken a deep toll. The family, already fractured by grief and confusion, has faced constant attention. Step-grandmother Janie McKenzie, other relatives and neighbors have at times publicly pleaded for an end to rumors and online attacks. Some family members described receiving harassing messages and being accused without evidence. For many locals, the search has altered daily life. Parents who once let their children play outside now keep them within arm's reach. Community gatherings have carried an undercurrent of sorrow, and vigils continue to be held to keep public attention focused on the missing children. As the calendar turned from days to weeks and then months, the investigation evolved. New leads were pursued, old tips rechecked, and areas researched when data suggested potential avenues. The RCMP said repeatedly they would not rule out any scenario and that they were following up on all credible information. Still, the combination of dense terrain, sparse initial physical clues, and the delay between the children's disappearance and some of the surveillance reviews made definitive breakthroughs harder to secure. Experts in missing persons cases often note that every hour matters. Biological traces fade, video caches loop over, and memories become less reliable. But methodical evidence collection can still turn up a key months later. Where does that leave us now? The immediate answer is in a protracted, active investigation. There have been no public announcements of arrests tied to the children's disappearance. Court records, RCMP statements, and media reporting show the case remains open and complex. Investigators continue forensic work on seized items, review thousands of video files, and follow tips from the public. Community vigils, online campaigns, and volunteer searches continue, driven by a shared desire to bring Lily and Jack home. The important takeaways are straightforward but heavy. First, modern investigations combine traditional search techniques with high-tech forensics. That combination takes time, but can produce results even months after an event. Second, community involvement can be a force multiplier. It keeps attention focused on a case, brings forward witnesses and footage, and sustains momentum. But social media speculation can also complicate police work and harm family members. Third, transparency balanced with investigative prudence remains vital. Police should provide timely updates that don't jeopardize the case, and the public must understand why some details remain sealed. Finally, and most urgently, if you saw anything in and around Lansdowne Station between April 28th and May 3rd, any dashcam, doorbell footage, a parked vehicle, or a memory you think is small and insignificant, tell the police. Small details are often the difference between cold and hot leads. This is not the end of the story. It's a painful middle chapter that demands persistence from investigators, courage from witnesses, and compassion from the public. The family and community deserve answers. The children deserve to be found. If you have information, contact the Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit or Crime Stoppers. Don't post potential evidence on social media where it may get altered or lost. And please, follow our channel for careful updates. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll see every verified development as soon as it's available. We will continue to track this investigation closely, to explain what investigators find, and to share only what's been confirmed, because every fact matters, and every day counts for Lily and Jack.